Today's episode of Dungeon Crawlers Radio is brought to you by Gamers Inn, your one-stop location for all your gaming needs. Located in Lehigh City, Utah, their fun and friendly staff will be more than happy to answer any of your gaming needs. Just remember, Gamers Inn, it's where adventures begin.
Time to power up.
Autobots, roll out.
Broadcasting live from the DCR studio.
Oh, yeah!
The Geek Revolution starts here.
Excellent!
Get ready for the #1 hit geek radio show out there.
Well, it is impressive, isn't it?
Because it's time for Dungeon Crawlers Radio.
Let's get ready to rumble!
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Alright everyone, welcome to another episode of Dungeon Crawlers Radio.
Where hopefully Scott's mic is not muted. Oh, it's not.
Nope, it's not muted, and for some reason Pac-Man's running around. I don't know why.
Oh, wow.
He seems to be chasing ghosts.
He's a little hungry. He's got to eat some crackers and some dots, you know?
Yeah. So, just ignore him. We are. Anyways, with that said, we're going to talk about some geek news that's happened recently, so...
We're broadcasting from the Watchtower Cafe.
Oh, go ahead.
Where
You
they have
put it in.
Pac-Man and Primal Rage and...
Mrs. Pac-Man.
Oh, it's Mrs. Pac-Man.
It's Mrs. Pac-Man. She's the cute one.
And lots of other awesome stuff.
Oh, lots of artwork, lots of comic books, a lot of collector's items.
Star Wars action figures.
This is definitely a must-stop for any geek.
If you don't already own it, they have the omnibus for the entire Age of Apocalypse.
Really?
It's $120, yes, but you can get it's the entire Age of Apocalypse, which is just an awesome series. And we
might have
kind of
to pick that
talked
up.
about that a little bit a couple episodes ago, and we were talking about Legion. But with that said, we're going to move forward. So geek news. There's a lot of things that have happened lately. I know you guys a couple episodes ago kind of hit on it, but then skipped over it a little bit. But there was a huge announcement regarding Doctor Who, and Jodie Whittaker that is now taking over the role of the Doctor, which will be the first female Doctor.
Wait, Doctor Whom?
Yeah. Which is really interesting because we have fans that are outraged, some that just don't care. A lot of them are saying it's about time. And I mean, you guys really don't care, right?
No. I think it's good that they would explore a different direction. I remember watching the show when I was a kid, and even then it was reruns from like the 70s.
Oh yeah.
So that's really the Doctor Who I know is the old 70s guy with an afro and a really comfortable looking scarf.
Well,
I gotta
yeah.
say.
See, and I was never into that generation. And even now trying to go back, I can't go back.
Oh, I can't
and
watch those ones. They're
without,
horrible.
Like, I need the newer graphics, even though
Yeah.
the newer graphics are still kind of junky.
Yeah.
Like in comparison to like Hollywood standards. But I enjoy the newer episodes, but I can't go back. So that's interesting that you should be a pre-war Doctor. Whom generation and
Pre-reboot or whatever.
Pre-reboot?
Yeah. Well, okay, so there's a couple things. I can kind of understand some people's outrage. You know, we have a character that has, up until now, predominantly been a male.
Oh, hold on. I do have a question for you.
Yes.
'Cause don't we also had a villain, the Master, who had previously been a male as well.
Yeah.
And
I know.
the Master was regenerated
Correct.
as a woman as well.
Yes.
Now, it's been so long since Doctor Who even started. How come now he decides to regenerate as a woman? Or does he not choose
It's
regenerates
been part of canon that it is possible. So it's not something that's brand new. It's been hinted at, but it's just now something that they're kind of really been on a push for, especially with this new reboot. But it's kind of like, you know, and again, I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here. It's kind of like saying, hey, suddenly Luke Skywalker's now a girl. You know, moving forward. I can see where some people can be outraged for it. The Doctor, though, they've already built in the mechanic to allow for that, in a way.
The difference is, like, Luke Skywalker has never changed actors. He's
True.
always
That
been
is
the
true.
same actor. So basically,
Yeah.
in essence, his character has progressed. Like, emotionally, he's progressed along
Yes.
storylines, but he's never progressed to a different character, a different actor
Yeah.
entirely.
It's always been Mark Hamill,
No, I
not
agree.
Marie Hamill.
While the other doctors kind of remember from their past selves, but even when they regenerate, they're in like
Mm-hmm.
this, who am I? I don't remember
Yes.
me. I have to figure out who I am all over again. And you get that with the new actor. You get a whole new doctor. Like, people who
You do.
love 9 can't stand 8, or who
Yeah.
love...
Now,
yeah.
don't get me wrong. I'm excited. Now, this is the one caveat I have for this. As a female doctor, traditionally when we watch Doctor Who, the Doctor travels in the past or in the future. And when I want to see this happen in the story. How were women treated in the past, especially in the 1800s, the 1400s, and stuff like that? They were treated as kind of subservient. There wasn't really women in power. Now we're going to have the Doctor, who traditionally in the past has shown up in the past. I'm the Doctor, kind of did his thing. I would really like to see them play on the fact that the Doctor's now a woman and has to kind of deal with those past views on women from men and stuff like that around them.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be an ongoing
And
thing.
if it is, beautiful. If it's not, and it's just, I'm the Doctor, I don't think it's going to work out well. I think it's going to flop. That's my only concern. Granted, I know who they picked is a great actor. I've seen her on Broadchurch. I think they've done a fantastic job at picking who they are. I really want to see how they go from grouchy Peter Capaldi to this character and what she's going to bring, because we had kind of Chris Eccleston's kind of everything's fantastic and kind of this childlike enthusiasm in everything he does, to David Tennant's Doctor, which was kind of a little mopey.
Oh, he was still very childlike, though.
But he still
was
had
very
that.
excited.
He did. He still had that childlike.
He had a little doom and gloom with him, but
yeah.
at the same time, he was very excited.
He seemed
was very heroic.
He kind of seemed like a 14-year-old kid, where a lot of things are super exciting, but then at the same time, kind of, oh, really, and mopey and gropey. And then we get
I'm
to.
sorry, mopey and gropey? Did you just say
Yes.
mopey and gropey?
I did.
I do not remember the Doctor being gropey.
Really?
Although there is the Doctor's daughter that we see. So
Did you not pay attention to him and Rose? There was a lot of stuff going on there.
Oh, that's different. That was him and Rose.
So, and then we get to the Matt Smith Doctor, which is just kind of insane, a little oblivious to things going on around him. He reminds me a lot of the dog off of Up, where he's going and then suddenly squirrel, and then he's somewhere else. So there was that, and then we get to Capaldi, which is very grumpy, very harsh. So I would like to see where they go, because you're right, with the Master, predominantly male, they suddenly changed it up to Missy, and Missy was just all over the place, like a crazy lunatic. She reminded me of a female Joker.
I actually didn't like her as much as I liked the previous Master.
So John, you like
Yeah,
John,
yeah.
but they're bringing him back.
They are.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the fact that she was a woman
I think
that I didn't like. It was
he's
the fact that I just didn't dive into her.
It was
she was
the
just
character.
too evil. She was too Joker-esque.
Okay, yeah,
I
can
like
see
the
that.
Master was. Yeah, he was evil, but he wasn't like kill off main characters.
But see,
like that.
yeah, and see, that's my worry point, is because to have us accept this female character, I think they pushed that too far. For us, this is the Master, and she's just completely evil, but at the same time completely crazy. I think they pushed that point a little too far, so that's what I'm worried about with this new female Doctor, that they'll try to go a little overboard. I could be wrong.
You think they'll try to push too hard to convince the fans this is your Doctor?
Yeah.
She can be heroic
Yeah.
to actually.
So that is a worry.
So they're so excited to make this great meal that they're going to oversalt it, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I think that's the worry. I hope that's not the case. I really would. I think this is a great opportunity to kind of mix things up. I think it's an awesome opportunity to bring another female lead into the geekdom universe. So we'll have to see. But I really think they need to address those things when she goes into the past, where men don't see her as an authority figure.
Can I just say
and then
that's-
her fighting against that prejudice.
I just want to say that's where Timeless, I really felt like, did an amazing job. Just saying, just putting that out there. Like every single time they went to the past, it was just, oh, right, we're back in the past. I love that.
Yeah, and I think that's what they need to address. It would be the same as if they had cast Idris Elba as the Doctor, and then he went to they traveled to Civil War, pre-Civil War Atlanta, Georgia. What in the heck was that? So
apparently it's 8:00 in Georgia.
Yeah, and so having
Georgia,
him
Russia.
deal with that, if they bring that into the characters, I think it's fantastic to do that, and that creates great story. Yeah, and conflict.
Oh no, I agree. I don't know. I would hope that there's not the haters that we're really hearing. I mean that. It's not.
I honestly.
I hope
okay.
that it's a very small minority.
So
and I
that's a
believe
good
it is.
point. I'm going to take an example. Larry Correa recently posted on his Facebook page something like this. He's like, I have 6,600 and change in people that are constantly on my Facebook, that are fans of my Facebook. He's like, out of all of those, only one viciously hates this idea that the Doctor is a female. It's so much. He was so outspoken, they actually kicked him off. One person out of that bit large of an audience. I really don't think everyone is as outraged as they're making it sound. I think that's just hype and marketing.
Yeah.
Really. I think there is a percentage of people that are questioning, not really sure, just because, again, it's traditionally been a male character. They're suddenly changing this over. How will this dynamic affect the show? I really think that's what it really boils down to, is they're not certain how this show will carry on with that. If it's great story behind it, great acting, it doesn't matter. I mean, really, that's what it's always been. I mean, every time we have a changeover of Doctor, everyone's always like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, 'cause
we'll see.
Anytime you're going to get a big fan base on something like that, especially, I mean, you look at what people classify as their favorite movies and shows and stuff, and there's always something in there that emulates something that they see in themselves.
Yeah.
And so you get a lot of these diehard fans that love the Doctor because they somehow connect with him, and now that Doctor's a female, unless that person is also able to connect somehow with the Doctor and a female role, then that person's now lost their favorite character, basically. And I can see how someone would get upset about that. But at the same time, I also think it's pretty neat that they're exploring this new direction. And like you said, as long as they stick true to a realistic sense of what would happen if he went into the past, I think they'll do a good job, too.
Well, I mean, look at Star Wars. Star Wars is a great example. Traditionally, all the prequels and the sixth after, the main lead character has always been a male. It's been Anakin or Luke. Well, we get Force Awakens and even Rogue One, and they've both been females. A strong female character. Everyone still loves them. But at first, they were kind of hesitant. But now they love them. I think once they see this character do the writing, which we have a new showrunner, so we don't have tired Stephen Moffat, and we have a new Doctor, I think we'll see some really cool stuff.
Just wait till we start seeing Jamie Bond, the reboot of James Bond come out. Then we'll see the
that one might explode a little bit, but who knows? It is possible.
See, and that just sounds like it would end up being another farce of Charlie's Angels.
Well, it all depends on if James Bond, if James Bond is just a name assigned to a secret agent, or is James Bond really that person? That's kind of the question, because we've had different people. So.
See, and in watching the James Bonds, and I'm a big fan from number one all the way up to the more recent ones.
Wow, even
and
George
stuff.
Lazenby, huh?
Okay, so I like a lot of the
Mistakes happen,
premises
is what
of the
you're saying.
stories. Exactly, mistakes happen. Some actors shouldn't have been chosen, but I mean, just especially once you get that initial James Bond. I mean, you just it hooked me in, and I just really don't see how they could make a switch like that with the James Bond. I just don't see how that work at all. It
Again, it's all perception, because we've always been used to that male guy, that James Bond that shows up in the tuxedo, sweeps women off her feet, orders a martini, gambles, and always saves the day.
And even with each different guy who plays it, somehow I mean, there's a couple who don't. Somehow they all make it so believable that it doesn't matter that it's no longer Sean Connery. I still believe that he's James Bond.
Even Timothy Dalton?
Yeah, like I said, not every one of them. Not every one of them, but
Everybody has mistakes, Daniel.
Yes,
but
they do.
especially with the more recent ones, I feel like they've done a much better job at casting that role.
Yes. Yeah, and if they do that, it's going to be interesting where things go. But,
Oh yeah, most definitely.
But there is hope. You know, we'll see how it works out, how the stories work. And honestly, I think they're making a bigger deal out of it than it really is to the fans.
I really think we're looking at a small minority here. And I really believe that people, if they give this Doctor a chance, everybody's going to be, for the most part, fine. I actually, I'm a bad person, but Peter Capaldi, I could never fall in love with him.
I haven't been able to.
And so I've stopped watching for a little while.
I didn't watch any of season 10.
As soon as, they come out on Netflix, I'm going to go through
They're not coming out on Netflix.
They're
by the
not
way.
going back?
No, they've been pulled.
Well, I knew the old ones were.
They're on Amazon Prime, but they're not on Netflix.
I'll have to take a look. I'm going to give him a try, but it's just I couldn't get into him those first couple episodes, and I just lost interest.
Yeah.
And so I need to see him once the actor has taken on that role of the Doctor. Because, actors, it takes them a little while sometimes to find their stride with the Doctor.
Yeah, so this is the end for him. As of the Christmas episode, he transforms, or regenerates into the new Doctor, which is Jodie. I have not been able to get into him at all. He just, and then my question is, how does his whole timeline converge back to the day, that 50th anniversary? Because he shows up with the angry eyebrows to help save Gallifrey. We've not seen that throughout the whole series. So maybe that they tie that in at the very end with this Christmas special. The last Christmas special really killed it for me. I watched a couple of the episodes with the new companion with Bill. I have not been able to get into his Doctor. I loved Tennant. I loved Matt Smith.
I'm a Tennant guy personally.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
Yeah.
Even though Matt was my first I ever watched. I know most often that's the one you cling to, but David Tennant was just great.
Yeah.
Chris Eccleston was good.
Oh, I love Chris.
John Hurt, even though he's really only shows up in one, fantastic. Paul McGann's great. Everyone before that I really can't get into, really, but I just can't get into Peter, and which is really sad because he's a fantastic actor.
He is, and that's why I want to give him a chance.
But
as soon as I can binge, I'm sure I'll.
But what I think really has happened is we have a fantastic actor that could do so much, but the scripts and the writing has failed him. I think Stephen Moffat just failed him left and right, and the show could never really give him what we really need. And a grumpy Doctor is not what we wanted. I mean, it seems like we've gotten a younger and younger Doctor that was more
childlike,
zany
yeah.
and crazy, and then we went to old man, Doctor that was just, and I know they wanted to do something completely different, but I think
isn't
it failed.
that how the original Doctors were? Kind of the old, more wise man?
No, we kind of went back and forth, because, we had Peter Davison that showed up, and, he had his celery, and he was wearing his polo.
But the first Doctor was
The first
kind of old.
Doctor was an old guy. He was an old guy. He had a granddaughter. And then it went a little bit younger. And so they kind of bounced back between younger and older. And then with the big 50th anniversary, there was the whole, you can really pick a face. And that's kind of their way of being able to say they can pull in Peter Capaldi because he'd already shown up as a side character during David Tennant's run in the Fires of Pompeii. Again, Karen Gillan's also in that episode too, if you pay attention. So
Really?
yeah, she is one of the servants to the fire gods or something like that. Yeah.
I need to go back and rewatch
Yeah.
that.
But it is interesting. But we'll just have to see where they go.
I agree.
So, what else were we going to talk about? Because
We had a list, and honestly,
it looks like we can do this one and then one other one.
The Doctor got tangent into
Well, I think it needed the attention. I mean, really. There is a lot of people out there, but I really don't think
there
is.
are.
I think they're making it up. It's a small handful, and they're going, whoa, and so making it.
It's probably
because
the
I
rock
think,
in a shoe. It's super small, not a big issue, but you notice it more than anything else.
Well, and it may be that they're not as confident about this decision, and so maybe they're doing that to kind of bring attention. I don't know. That's just an assumption.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. So what was the other thing we were going to talk about? Oh, Thor. The Thor trailer.
Yes.
So the new Thor trailer that came out during San Diego Comic-Con.
It worked for Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's pull in the 80s for Thor 2.
Got a nice Thor pillow right here.
Yes. It's looking interesting. I think they're pulling in soundtracks to revitalize songs of old, and I caught my son the other day singing "Hooked on a Feeling" from Blue Suede.
Awesome.
And he like for 4 days straight, he was just humming that all the time because I guess they're playing it. He's doing marching band. They play it every morning. I'm like,
he's obviously hooked on a feeling.
I'm like, you realize that's an old song? He's like, no, it's not. It just came out recently. I'm like, it came out in 1968. It's older than I am. And he's like, no, it's not. So I pulled it up, and he's like, it's really that old? I'm like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think I'm excited about this movie, but I have been excited about every Thor movie, and I've loved every Thor movie. The last one was kind of it was okay, but it was still fun. But the first one was amazing. I loved it, and yet they are some of the lowest rated Marvel movies, and I feel like Marvel right now with this.
Too.
See, and that's the thing. Like, I was okay with it. Like, I had fun with it, but it still was better than Age of Ultron. Like, I don't
know.
I feel like Marvel with the Thor movies, the popularity is extremely low. So they are pulling out all the stops to make sure that this one's more Guardians. They say, hey, this formula worked with Guardians. They're pulling out all the stops so that this one will be more fun. And honestly, I think this is the last Thor movie we're going to see.
It probably is.
The last standalone. And it's kind of like let's push them out with a big bang.
Well,
I mean, back for the Avengers.
Thor has always kind of been a C-class comic. It's never been top of the shelf.
Well, so is Guardians.
Guardians more of D, like even below that. So, and it's a hard sell. It really is a hard sell. Even more so, he's on Asgard, and they've had to up it because no one's really believing the stories when he's down on Earth. I mean, and so they're like, okay, let's pull out Ragnarok, and well, while we're there, Ragnarok kind of includes the Hulk, so let's smash in Planet Hulk. I think this is going to work. I kind of like it. But one of the weird things that I caught is Lou Ferrigno isn't doing the Hulk's voice. In all the movies up to this point, Lou Ferrigno has done the voice of the Hulk.
Well, it also looks like he's got a lot more lines in this one.
Except for now, we have what's his name that's playing Eric? Man,
Bruce Banner, the actor.
Yes. Why is the name escaping me? He's in freaking Now You Can See Me. Mark Ruffalo.
We were having so much fun.
Yes, Mark Ruffalo. He's doing the voice of the Hulk, which I think is fantastic. He should have been doing it the whole time. But that scene at the very end where he's got the beads around him, he's like, Hulk like fire. He's like, well, I like fire. Hulk really like really hot fire. And then you see him like launching into this demonic thing, which is even more fantastic because that demonic creature, I can't remember its name. I looked it up, but that's being voiced by Clancy Brown, the Kurgan from Highlander.
Oh man,
really?
Yes, even more amazing.
What is that? Is that something that he actually fights and beats in the comics?
Not in
spoilers?
Planet Hulk, but I wonder if that has something to do with Thor Ragnarok. I don't know, but so I mean, I know everyone's freaking out because Mjolnir gets destroyed, but she is the goddess of death. She literally has the power to destroy and dismantle matter.
Well, people are frustrated about it being destroyed because it's supposed to be this. It's like a character at this point. But from how it looks in this new trailer, Thor is able to actually become literally infused with thunder.
So this is what I think really is going to happen. I could be wrong, but Thor has always had the power, but he's never really believed in himself.
Tool.
Mjolnir is kind of the focus, which allows him to pull it in. He loses that, and I think this whole story is about him truly becoming the god the Odin's wanted him to be. Because we've always kind of, in the very beginning, he's like, you're going to become king. And that's the whole point. And then he said, like, no, you can't be king, and start stripping everything off of him. I really think we're coming full circle where he embraces who he is, becomes the god of thunder, and then can claim the throne.
That's why I'm saying I think this is leading up. This is the final of the trilogy.
I honestly think all of these are wrapping up because, we've got 3 Iron Man, we've gotten 3 Captain Americas, 3 Thors. I think they are wrapping it up because we have the Infinity Wars, and we're going to lose these actors. I really think that's the case.
I agree. Well, they're saying that this is the end of that huge character arc that was started.
Yeah.
And then we're going to start with a whole new phase, a new character arc that will continue on with the second Spider-Man, right? Is that what I'm hearing right?
Yeah, and I think another Ant-Man in there. But I think that is good because these guys are getting older. Let's face it, they can't keep doing stunts.
Tell that to Johnny Depp.
They probably want to move on and do other things. I know Chris Evans is really gotten into acting, or not acting, directing, and writing scripts or screenplays and stuff like that. So they may want to move on. I mean, this last movie has taken a year and a half to film, right? Yeah.
Or is it just a year?
Wow, that's a long time just for
Maybe,
filming.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge chunk of your life. Now, granted, it's made them a lot of money, but I know a lot of contracts are coming up. And so this would, and again, we've mentioned it, Infinity Wars, with the reality gems and that, they can rewrite and reboot a lot of this.
Which I hope they don't. I really hope that they just take new characters, because there are so many actors and characters out in the Marvel universe that we can pull from.
Yeah, they don't need to recast a new person for this. They don't need to regenerate a new doctor.
But they can change the storyline.
Exactly, they could bring up a new character. They could make new characters that they don't even have already.
Well, the Marvel lineup has so many characters.
I mean, they don't need to. You're right.
They really don't.
There's just a multitude.
We'll have to see what happens. I mean, as it is, Captain America is not in the Infinity Wars. Not Captain America as we know him. Chris Evans is in the movie, but because he's given up the Captain America mantle at the end of Civil War, he's in the movie as Nomad. Which does happen in the comics where he sheds it, and he'll have a full beard and mustache. So he'll look a lot like Scott.
Yo.
Ooh, hey.
Running around.
So you're saying I can cosplay as the Nomad?
You could. And then, we have Scarlet Witch, which she's got like super blonde hair. If you look at the posters. Because she's wanted just as much as he is. They're war criminals, and they're running from the powers that be. So it's going to be interesting how they pull all that in together.
I'm just excited to see Doctor Strange come back, even though I'm not excited about that accent. Just let him have the British accent.
They can't.
Why?
Because Doctor Strange is from New York.
He's from New York, but he couldn't have done training abroad that gave him an accent?
Or it's possible that the magic he uses is really from the dark side, because as we all know, the dark side naturally gives you a British accent.
I don't know. Maybe.
It's a theory.
That does happen in Star Wars. That is correct. But I agree. Seeing Benedict Cumberbatch speaking in that horrible American New York accent is just bad. I agree. Wholeheartedly.
It's hard. It's like trying
weird.
to drive a stick shift after driving
No,
an
it's
automatic
more like
for
just
4
sitting in a
years.
room, just running your fingernails up and down a chalkboard.
I don't think it was that bad.
Oh, yeah.
It took getting used to.
It just sounds weird. It sounds discordant. It doesn't sound natural. But which is really weird because you can see other actors that have British accents and it sounds just fine.
Like Rick from Walking Dead. Man, you hear that guy talk. It's night and day.
Well, even Amy Pond, Karen Gillan that does Amy Pond. When you hear her talk in Guardians, or even on the new Jumanji trailer,
Excited
there's
for that.
no accent in there, and it is clean and solid. But then watch her as Amy Pond on Doctor Who, and that thick Scottish accent's in there, but she can drop it. I don't know. It just may be that all we've ever seen him is with that accent. We've seen him as Smaug and everything, so it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But I'm excited. It looks exciting. They brought a lot of levity and fun in there. I mean, as we've seen from the very first one where Hulk busts out, he's like, yeah, I know him from work. Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. It's perfect. My only question is they're going to throw in too much levity too much of that
The
humor.
trailer makes it look like that.
It makes it look like a comedy does. Yeah.
It kind of looks like more of a comedy with some action in there. I'm afraid of that because that's not really Thor. But we'll see. Yeah, so far they haven't failed us yet.
Well, I don't know. From the reviews I hear from you, I feel like you feel you've been failed. I'm a
what?
big fan of the Thor movies.
Well,
I love. Okay, so
it's the number 2s that have failed.
it's the second one.
Like Iron Man 2 and Thor 2. We're just kind of.
What are you talking about? Okay.
See, I liked both of them. I didn't have any complaints.
What about Iron Man 3?
3, I feel like 3 is the weaker of the Iron Man.
I agree.
You see, and that's the thing. Iron Man went down with each movie, but Captain America went up with
That's
each
true.
Captain America.
So what
kept
is Thor
boosting.
gonna do?
Well,
Yeah.
Because right now it's going down.
see, for me,
Can it turn around?
For me, Thor's been pretty level. I think for me, it started off great. Number 2 continued with that. I enjoyed that one thoroughly.
My problem with Thor 2 was they completely ruined the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves are an amazing race that they could have done so much more with. Even the fact that the main leader is Christopher Eccleston, the Ninth Doctor, and I don't think they even used him. And it was just such a waste.
But
And
again,
then-
that's coming from a fan who's read all the comics from new
True.
fans,
And-
like Baron
and-
and I.
Yeah.
Exactly. And see, me growing up, Thor
I just
was
saw him as a great villain.
goofy. He had these little wings on his feet that I always thought was probably more
Thor?
Achilles. Or, yeah, just, I don't know. Or the wings on his helmet anyway.
Helmet,
Not
helmet.
his feet. Yeah, the wings on his helmet always made me think of Achilles with the wings on his heels. And I just...
You mean
I don't-
Hermes?
Hermes, yeah. Either way. He looked goofy in the comics.
did.
He was super bright, colorful, and was almost He-Man-esque.
He was very He-Man-esque, and he always talked in that weird Norse way.
Yeah.
I mean, even looking at you watch the cartoons, and he's always the
Yeah.
cartoons portray him as that way. But in the movie, he's actually cool.
Yeah, and I remember when the first movie came out, I had very low expectations.
Yeah, low
Yeah.
expectations.
I was thinking, why am I going to watch the most goofiest of all superheroes? But then I was thoroughly impressed. Everything turned around.
If I'm hearing you correctly, you're going in expecting an Aquaman movie.
Yes, I was.
And came out seeing the new Aquaman type movie.
I have not seen the new Aquaman yet.
I know, but you've seen him in the trailers.
Okay,
so
yes.
where he's got the long hair and he
and
looks
it's like,
awesome.
and it's like, hey, this could go somewhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay.
I'm just saying, like, Thor might have been goofy, but at least he's not Doctor Strange speaking goofy from, like, the comics and the original cartoons.
Yeah.
See, and
Buy
that was
this thing, buy this magic, buy this.
and that was another show that I had a lot of
And that-
hesitations going into
Yeah.
because of the portrayal of
And
him
I
before.
did like that they got rid of all that. It wasn't by the power of Monkey's Uncle Peter Pan's toilet paper, and then he does something. I mean, that's how it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how it always seemed.
If we get talking action figures, that's on the Daniel figure right there. So every time you push that little button on his back, it's going to be
No, it'll be
by the
more-
power of Peter Pan's monkey.
It'll be a pull
toilet
string.
paper.
It's got to be a pull string for Daniel.
Sweet. As long as it's on my back.
I agree with that one. I never thought of the placement, but yes, let's keep those in the traditional upper back area.
Yes. As long as I'm like Woody and it's on the back.
There's a snake, in my boot.
Yeah.
Somebody poison the water hole.
I need to find that clip now in this audio, and then we can put it on a soundboard because everyone else has their thing. That will be on the end every time. There we go.
Nice.
All right. So, let us know your feedback, your thoughts on the new Doctor, and your thoughts on the upcoming Thor movie and how awesome it's going to be, or how not so awesome, and why.
I want to thanks again to Watchtower Cafe for hosting us today, and we'll be back at Paragon City Games next week.
Yes.
Until then, I'm going to get a refill on coffee because it's delicious here.
Good, because I ran out of toilet paper.
I got nothing else to add to that.
I don't know how to stop this thing.
Oh, I'm stopping it. Okay, don't push that button.
Just because the world is without fuel doesn't mean it can't burn. Union Forest has unleashed a dragon upon the world, and it's hungry. Henry Morgan has to save his brother and face the dragon. Check out The Shadows Above the Flames, written by our very own Daniel Swinton and published by Immortal Works. You can find your copies on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, or anywhere books are sold. So go get your copy today and find out what happens to Henry and Rick.